something has stuck with me, and my mentor told me, he would always say, "It always works out." Fun. Should I have these glasses on or no? No, because they reflect. Okay.
So my guest today is Amanda Gullickson. I'm so excited to have her on. We met, back in like 2011, 2012, when I was in school. And she didn't go to the same college that I went to, but she came around a lot because she was dating or talking to one of the guys in the circle that I sort of hung around in. And I think that it was like the most classic case of men pitting women against one another in an effort to like save their own ass. And I'm actually really proud of our friendship because instead of listening to the she said and the gossip and the hearsay, we went to one another, and I'm so glad that we did because we ended up becoming really good friends, and I'm so happy to have you on.
Yes, no, same. Could not agree more. It is interesting. I actually haven't thought about that in such a long time, like how we actually met, because it was so long ago.
So you're currently quarantining in North Carolina with your family. Yes. How's that going?
Yeah, it's good. I just got here last week, actually. Mm-hmm. So before I was in LA for a while, and then I came here last week because in LA, everything is shut down and there was no space, no gym, nothing. So here it's a little bit, my parents have a bigger house and
of course.
Everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And were you and Chris, your partner, were you guys quarantining together?
Yes, we were.
And how was that?
It's been great. I was telling him, like, we were laughing about it because so many people we know have like been going crazy with whoever they're with, and like we are just chill. Like we just get along. No, not at all. Like we just get along, and like he does his. We're so alike that like he does his thing, I do my thing, and we just like have a good balance.
So you are a model among many things. I call you a multi-hyphenate entrepreneur.
I love that.
How has this whole COVID period affected your career? I'm assuming that production on things has been shut down for everything that you were doing.
Completely. So when it first started, my March was I had like things going on. All of those were canceled or postponed. And we'll see if they ever come back. I feel like this has lasted longer than a lot of people thought. And then aside from that, all production hasn't been happening. My agents aren't in the office. Like nothing has been happening at all. It's just now starting to get to a point, at least in North Carolina, where people are starting to slowly shoot again and whatnot. But as far as LA and New York, I think it might be a while.
So what have you been doing to like occupy your day?
So I told myself in the beginning, like I've kind of been on like this little roller coaster. So I started out really motivated. For a second, I got really unmotivated, and now I'm back motivated. But I've been reading more. Mm-hmm. Because before I never really took the time. Like I didn't read much. I didn't read enough. So I've been reading a lot. I took a course. I don't know if you saw the Coursera. I hope I said that right. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of going back to school, you originally went back to school to get a graduate degree. Is that right?
Yes. So I did, when I met you, it's when I had first graduated high school, and then I started modeling. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do school at the same time. So I went ahead and did online to get my bachelor's. And then also I didn't want to stop and go back to school to get my master's, but I wanted to get my MBA. So I did that online as well.
You also recently wrote a book, which is so exciting.
Yes, I did. How to choose them when to lose them. Got a little ring to it. But it is about relationships. It could be applied. It's mainly romantically based, but it could be applied to any relationship you have in your life. And most importantly, that the most important relationship you can have is the one with yourself, and how loving yourself should always be something you figure out and kind of put first in your life. And it will change every other relationship you have and every aspect of your life, really, when you learn to do that. And just how much people can affect you. I remember when I first moved to LA and from New York, first moved to LA, and I had so much time alone because New York it's easy to meet people. You kind of are like always in this vibe. And then LA was totally different. It was so spread out. I wasn't really working yet because I was like just going on castings a bunch and stuff, trying to establish clients. So I just had so much time alone. And at the time I was in a relationship. So I had a lot of time to think about a lot of stuff. And I was like, you know what? Like, I also had this friend who always called me, and a lot of friends of mine. I was like the advice person. So
You're
like
the
even
sounding board for sure.
yeah, so like even though my situation might have been a whole thing, I was still very like if they called me, I would just want to help. I would like talk them through their stuff. Probably a year and a half ago now, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me really like sit down, structure this out, put it together because I want to give something back for like young girls, or
Yeah.
even older girl. Like age doesn't even really matter, but specifically at an age that's like so pivotal. I remember I was like looking for resources in a way, but I didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
Because I didn't want anybody to know what was going on, but I still wanted a resource. And so for me, this was like my way of like giving back to girls that don't want to talk about what's going on, but they do need something to like relate to or figure out. So yeah.
And what was the process of like finding a publisher, getting the book binded, and all the steps that go into getting a book produced?
Yeah, so this was my first one. I had no connections really in the publishing world, the book world. There was one guy that I knew, and he used to be a neighbor of mine growing up, and he worked at Forbes Books. So I called him and I was just like, listen, how do I go about this? Like, this is what I want to do. How can I kind of, go about this? And he was like, honestly, in today's world, like self-publishing would probably be the smartest for your first book. And like what it sounds like you're trying to do, I can introduce you to a few editors. And like, so I kind of took it from there. And then he recommended me to an editor. I worked with that company in addition to Book Baby, who was the other company that did my distribution, my production, all of that. So I ended up working with them, and I just found them through reviews and stuff online, and then reached out and started my own personal relationship.
Right.
But it was because I wanted to do it in my own time, and I wanted it to be very much my voice, and I wanted it to be like very personal. And I didn't tell anybody about it when I was doing it. Like very few people knew.
Yeah,
They were like
out of nowhere.
Yeah, they were like, what the heck? You wrote a book? Like people really had no idea because I didn't want anybody to like know about it and be like, oh, what's going on with the book? And then me have not got it to where I wanted to yet. So I just it was very personal to me and very like, my own thing, and self-publishing allowed me to do that and keep it very much in my voice and like say certain things a certain way. So yeah, that's how I chose to do it that way. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, but I have the direct link. I have a website where I can send them directly and I sign them, is agattitude.com.
Okay, so we're gonna do, since you are so great at giving advice and being the sounding board to all your friends, we're going to do a rapid fire advice questions. What advice would you give to your 15-year-old self?
I would tell myself to put myself first, like in whatever ways I could, and take it how you want to take it, obviously, but like put yourself first. Like stop putting everybody else's dreams and goals and priorities ahead of yours, especially men. Especially men. Especially men. Especially the relationships that you form. Like, do you?
What is the biggest lesson you've learned from your long-term relationship?
How possible a healthy and peaceful relationship is, and how attainable it is, and that it's not supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be easy. You're supposed to be friends, and you're supposed to be individuals.
Amen. Who is an industry figure in the modeling world you look up to and why?
Oh, I would say this is a tough question. I there's a few people that I think I look up to for like certain things that they've done in different ways. Like I think Ashley Graham, like what she's been able to do for women in her arena is huge. And she also stands for something, she like speaks out about stuff. I think Chrissy Teigen even like I love her sass and that she has a voice and she says what she means, she says it with her chest and she doesn't feel bad about it. And also, I did the face with Naomi. She's done so much, right? So she demands a certain level of respect and she is intimidating and she intimidates a lot of people. But to me, I was like, I don't come from that world. Like I didn't come from the modeling world where I was like starstruck necessarily.
Right.
And I was just like, we're two people, you know what I mean? Like you're like, sure, I respect your craft, but like you don't scare me. And I think that's why we were cool because she was like, I respect it. Yeah.
Last question. What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Something has stuck with me and my mentor told me, he would always say, it always works out. And that's like a very general thing to say, but I have grown to learn it always works out. Things always happen how they're supposed to. Things always work out. Like, relax, it'll be okay. It's gonna work out.